All right, guys, I am going through a list of airplanes and trying to figure out what my next airplane project will be. Because more than likely, the next airplane I build is going to be my very last project. And I want to make sure it meets all of my requirements for my future plans, which I will tell you about after this. I know a lot of you are thinking, well, what about your Kit Fox? Aren't you going to finish the Kit Fox? No, I sold the Kit Fox project that I had, and I thought long and hard about selling it because I think my buddy will be disappointed, and I really wanted to finish it for him so that he could fly it, but life circumstances change, and I have made a decision to move from Michigan to Texas, and the cost of moving that project, because it would take an entire moving truck by itself, it was just too much. I've already started selling just about everything I have. In the last 6 months or so, I've sold my golf cart, my Polaris Razor. I have 2 jet skis I'm going to sell this summer. And if you actually took a stroll through my house right now, it almost looks vacant because I have sold almost all of my furniture. All of my spare bedroom furniture is gone. The spare TVs are gone. All the house decor is gone. There's not much left in my house, and that's just the way I want it because I really don't want to take anything with me when I do move. So in order to choose my next airplane, I really need to take a look at my mission to figure out which type of airplane kit I should build. So I do know that I want to build a bush plane. I don't need a fast airplane, I don't need an aerobatic airplane. I need something where I can fly around to hilltops and prairies and sandbars and stuff like that. So I've been looking at the Kit Fox, the Just Aircraft Highlander, the Rans S7, the Rans S20, the Rans S21, the Murphy Rebel, and the Zenith Super Duty. So with all these airplanes available for bush flying, how do you choose which one to build? For me, I eliminated all of the tube and fabric airplanes because I really like working with aluminum. I really enjoyed building this Zenith Cruiser, and I just don't want to build a tube and fabric airplane. I want to stay with aluminum. The other reason I want aluminum is because I want to be able to take this airplane into the backcountry and probably have it sit there for a week or so while I'm enjoying some camping. And if I'm going to leave the airplane outside for a week or so, I just think aluminum would hold up better than fabric. I could be wrong, but for me, I would just feel better flying an aluminum airplane out into the backcountry. All right, guys, so if I could narrow the 2 airplanes down to either the S21 or the Zenith Super Duty. I've got the prices on the whiteboard here. You can see the S21, the kit is $38,039. If I was to build this airplane, I would definitely go with a Titan engine. I wouldn't want a small engine like the Rotax. So with the Titan engine install kit, it's $12,900, which gets a total for the kit of $50,939. Now, for you people that aren't familiar with Kitplanes, that is basically an airframe. That doesn't include the engine, the avionics, things like that. Now, the nice thing about Rans is they always offer a very complete kit. So Rans includes the interior as far as the seats and things like that. Their install kit does include the propeller. So Rans is a very complete kit. So other than the avionics and paint and the engine, most of the stuff you're going to need could probably be included into this price. All right, now if we look at the Zenith Super Duty, the kit itself is $32,250, and these are just numbers I pulled right off of their websites. And I included a couple options that I think most people, if they were going to build this airplane, would probably buy. And that's the bubble top window, which is another window on top of the airplane that goes above the 3rd seat in the back. The center console and the upholstery kit for $1,000. The total price is $33,565. So when you compare just the kits, the Rans, $51,000, the Zenith, $33,500. All right, so let's look at some numbers right off of the Rans website and right off of the Zenith website. The S21 has a useful load of 815 pounds. The Super Duty, 800. Let's call that a draw, pretty even. Takeoff distance on the S21 is 325 feet versus 115 feet for the Super Duty. Landing distance is 375 versus 150 for the Super Duty. And you would expect the Super Duty to have better performance numbers just because the wing has the leading edge slats and it's really designed as a bush plane. But the trade-off is, according to RANS, the S21 cruises at 155 miles an hour versus a Super Duty at 105. Now this is what the Zenith website says, but I will tell you, every video I see that Zenith posts of them flying the Super Duty, I really try to zoom in and look at the airspeed indicator, and almost every video I've seen, that's down at about 85 miles an hour. So whether they're pulling the power way back to cruise, I don't know, but I would question the 105. This is why you go to the factory and fly the airplane. But these are just numbers for now, right off of their websites. So now they're calling for endurance of 5 hours on the S21, and that's with the 50-gallon tanks. You got endurance of 3.8 hours with the 48-gallon tanks on the Super Duty. Now, with 2 gallons difference, why is that? Why are those numbers so different? On the RANS website, they're saying that this 180 horsepower Titan engine will burn 8 gallons an hour. I don't believe it. I have 180 horsepower on my Mooney, and if I climb up high and really lean it out, I might be able to get it down to about 9. But unless there's something about the Titan engine I don't know, I don't believe that 180 horsepower will burn 8 gallons an hour. I think Zenith is using more accurate numbers of 10 or 11 gallons an hour. But according to RANS, the S21 has a range of 750 miles, where the Super Duty has a range of 400 miles. But let's look a little deeper into those numbers. All right, guys, I want to show you the calculations I did based on the 8 gallons an hour that RANS claims the Titan engine will get. You know, and RANS has always been pretty accurate with their numbers. So, you know, let's assume that that engine does burn 8 gallons an hour. In the S21, it has 50-gallon tanks at 8 gallons per hour. If we subtract 2 as unusable fuel, we get 48. If you're going to have a half-hour reserve at 8 gallons an hour, you need 4 gallons for the reserve. That leaves you 44 gallons to fly with. Divided by the 8 gallons an hour gives you 5.5 hours of flight at 155 miles per hour. That gives you a range of 852 miles. And I divided that by 2 because basically that's saying you could fly 426 miles out into the bush and then fly the 426 miles back. Now if we look at the Super Duty, it's got 2 gallons less. It has 48 gallons of fuel, the same 8 gallons an hour. We'll use the same 2 gallons of unusable fuel, the half hour of 4 gallons for the reserve. Divided by 8 gallons per hour, you get 5.25 hours of fuel, times the claimed 105 miles an hour cruise speed, gives you 551 mile range. Divided by 2 means that I can go 275 miles out into the mountains and then fly the 275 miles back and then still have a half an hour of reserve. So that is a huge difference in performance. 275 miles in the Super Duty versus 426 miles out in the RANS S21. So obviously, anytime you compare something, you're going to have pros and cons, right? So if we look at the RANS S21, I've listed the pros, and these are things that I consider a pro. You might not. You might consider some things differently. But the speed, 155 miles an hour cruise speed is just unheard of for an airplane with bush tires. That would be really nice to cruise at 155 miles an hour. Generally, the RANS kits are very complete, and I put here it's probably a more complete kit. I built 2 other RANS airplanes, and the kits that I had, you know, they even come with the electrical wiring, the switches for the panel. I mean, almost everything you need to build that airplane is in the kit. Whereas the Zenith kits, their philosophy is a little bit different. They're more just, here's an airframe, and you are able to source the parts yourself, which honestly is the way I like it better, because I would rather go buy the exact parts that I want. But it is a complete kit. Another pro for the S21 is the range. Obviously, we saw it's almost double the Super Duty. Now, the negatives for me are the price. The RANS is about $17,000 or $18,000 more than the Super Duty, and then takeoff and landing distance is obviously longer than the Super Duty. Now, for the pros and cons for the Super Duty, the price, like I said, it's quite a bit less expensive than the RANS. The takeoff and landing distance, when you're talking only 100 or 150 feet, man, you can get into just about anywhere. And it also has a third seat, which you know, I've owned 2 4-place airplanes and I've never once had anybody in the back seat. So would I ever really use a 3rd seat for a person? Probably not. And then the cons, obviously the Super Duty is a pretty slow airplane, and the range, it just doesn't go that far. All right guys, when I was editing the last clip, I realized I left out one thing on the Super Duty column under the negatives, and that is that it just has a nose wheel. I'm still not convinced that a nose wheel is the best thing to have out in the backcountry, but I tell you, one of the things I wish Zenith would do is give Roger a pocket full of cash. Send Roger in the Super Duty out west and have him film himself landing on riverbeds, sandbars, mountaintops. Show us what that Super Duty can do. That would be a great marketing tool for Zenith. Even after crunching all the data and looking at the numbers, I still haven't talked about what I think is the absolute most important thing in trying to choose an airplane. And that is, once you've narrowed it down to say 2 or 3, which one just really gets you excited, right? Which one can you picture spending 3 or 4 years in your hangar building? What airplane do you look at pictures of it and you're like, damn, that's a cool airplane. For me, it's hands down the Super Duty. I love that airplane. I'm one of the weirdos that loves the big square boxy fuselage. I love the gull wings. The Super Duty is just a big, tough, tall, solid airplane. I just love it. I really like the looks of it. I think it's just a badass airplane. And for me, even though if you look at the numbers, you know, you'd probably think I would go with the S21, but the main advantages for me with the Super Duty are just that it gets me excited. I love the airplane, but also I really want this airplane for backcountry flying. And when you look at a 115-foot takeoff roll and 150-foot landing distance, I can't imagine there's very many places you can't go with that. That to me is more important than the 155-mile-an-hour cruise speed of the Rans S21. So for me, is the Zenith Super Duty the right kit for me? After this long, boring video, the answer is yeah. All right guys, thanks so much for watching the video. If you're still here, I do appreciate it. If you would, subscribe to the channel. Just take 2 seconds, or not even 2 seconds, hit the thumbs up button. I don't understand why people don't do it. I get like 6,000 views on a video and like 100 people hit the like button. It really helps my channel. It helps me if you just click the button. Do it right now, go ahead. There you go, thank you. Thanks for hitting that, I really appreciate it. And I will see you on the next video.